Today on Locked On Rockies, it's time to make it official. It's time to really amp it up. It's time to bring back Charlie Blackmon.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 21st day of September in the year 2023. I am the host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I am your Rockies fan extraordinaire, been following this team my entire life and bringing you your daily Rockies talk for 3 seasons now. Thank you so much for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. You can find us on your favorite streaming services. You can find us on YouTube. You can also find us on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. Don't miss out on all your Rockies play-by-play action there on the SiriusXM app and SiriusXM as well. Today on the show, focusing on Charlie Blackmon for the Colorado Rockies, and I think that it should be official before the end of the year, personally. But the real question with Charlie Blackmon and an extension is the length. And a couple of articles I want to read from, a couple of things I want to pull from here, and we'll talk about that, and we'll look ahead to the matchup against the Cubs tomorrow. So we'll dive into all that and more, but before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Folks, Charlie Blackmon continues to impress, and with the move of Kris Bryant out of the outfield officially, and looks like that's probably going to be the move going forward, it opens up an opportunity for Charlie Blackmon to play right field. And we've seen this year, and I've harped on the defense. I've said it hasn't been great, but we've seen Charlie have some moments on defense since his return from the IL, and I know he's no Brenton Doyle or Nolan Jones when it comes to arm speed, but it's the right veteran presence. On top of being productive, finding a way to be productive right now is key for Charlie Blackmon, and that's what he's doing. It's not the power, it's not the home runs, it's getting on base and being effective that way. It's still managing to hit triples. It's still being someone that understands how to work and build on a count. He is a perfect example to be on this team right now. He is the perfect type of rookie and perfect type of player to have, the perfect type of rookie, the perfect type of veteran for the rookies on this team. And it is the perfect amount. He can help establish Rockies' legacy. He can help establish not only himself, but just another example of pointing to and saying, that was a really good player. Charlie Blackmon is an elite player. Charlie Blackmon is someone that will go down, maybe not as a World Series champion, but he will go down as an all-time Rocky, an all-time great, and someone that was pretty darn good at the major league level. And in the health and the injury is the biggest issue, but when Charlie Blackmon has been on the field this year, he has been effective. Not the best player in all of baseball, not the best player on the Rockies, but he's positive. He's contributing in a positive way. He's not a detriment to this team. We have seen veterans on this Rockies team be detriments to them. And guess what? They're not on the team anymore. When you look at the veteran players that are left on the Rockies, especially at the position players, they are all ones that have mostly contributed, at least this year, and especially. Obviously, of course, you have your Kris Bryant and a good chunk of the season gone there. But when he's been on the field, he's contributed. Elias Diaz still continues to have arguably his best season of all time, even though he's slowed down a bit. He's still a positive wins above replacement player at 1.6. They have the right type of veterans. They're not dominant. They're not great. But right now, for this stage of Rockies baseball, they fill holes and they bring and they add depth that this Rockies team needs. And it's highlighted by the fact that they have an all-time Rocky. And highlighted in the fact that you want to know a great way to keep fans engaged next year if it's another struggle of the season. Charlie Blackmon's on the roster. Charlie Blackmon is the perfect person to continue to remind people about, to have as a fan favorite, and is someone that is immediately adds interest to this team. The big beard leadoff guy who's reinventing himself in the later stages of his career to be someone that's able to still hit effectively, even in a and even with the lack of power and a down spiral of power. He's showing that you can reinvent yourself, that you can be someone that can still be effective and contribute to his team. And again, it's not all-star level, but it's positive. Let's take a look here at the line here for Charlie Blackmon. 284 average. He's got 38 RBI on the season, a couple of stolen bases. His slash line, 372 OBP, a slugging of 444, an OPS of 817, an OPS plus of 111, 7 home runs. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things that you look at and you go and hesitate to. But if he can continue to produce like this, another year of Charlie Blackmon is okay. But the question is coming up of how long? How long can you count on Charlie Blackmon? How long do you want to turn to Charlie Blackmon? How much time do you need to give Zach Veen, for example, to come up and through the system? And do you want to turn to him at all? In addition to any other players, including Michael Toglia, who's trying to get time at right field as well. Two key prospects that are going to be impacted by the extension of Charlie Blackmon. So, how many years do you commit if you do bring him back? How long is too long? Are you getting in the way of what you're trying to do in this year and getting back into the competitive swing of things with this young core? Is Charlie Blackmon going to get in the way of that? I don't necessarily think it is, but I don't think the Rockies need to go and commit big time, real deal, lengthy time to Charlie Blackmon at this stage in his career. And I want to read here from Renee Dechert. She has a piece over on Just Baseball. What's next for Charlie Blackmon and the Colorado Rockies? And I want to read here of just a brief little blurb, but there's nothing official yet, but it's safe to assume that Blackmon will be a Rocky for at least another year. Last week on a Rockies pregame show, analyst Corey Sullivan indicated that Blackmon was interested in a 2 or 3 year contract. And that's the issue. Right there, that's the issue. And I want to highlight that more in our second segment. But before we dive into all that, I want to read this little segment here of what's in it for Charlie from the piece here from Renee Dechert on justbaseball.com. Consider his 2023 season. He was out with a wrist injury from June 11th to August 14th. Since returning, Blackmon has been on fire. This season, he has slashed 285, 373, and 445 for a WRC plus of 109. The power that was once his calling card is less evident, but he is good at consistently getting on base. Plus, he can continue cementing his legacy on the Mount Rushmore of Rockies players. He is the Rockies' all-time leader in triples with 63, 7th in WAR, 2nd in runs scored at 933, 2nd in doubles in 306, 6th in home runs with 214, 2nd in stolen bases with 139, and the list goes on. And she just adds, Todd Helton leads most of those categories, so he's probably not going to get there. Now that the NL has adopted the designated hitter, Blackmon's declining defense becomes less problematic. Moreover, it's a position he's adapted to nicely. And if there's the matter of salary, if the Rockies were to offer Blackmon a 1-year, $8 million contract, it would be consistent with similar offers they've made in the past. So Blackmon could get a better deal. There could be a team out there that would entice him, and I think Charlie Blackmon is at least going to start the free agency. I was already saying, hey, Rockies, get it done now, but Charlie Blackmon's probably going to at least keep his mind open, but he's indicated that this is where it needs to be. And you've seen, and we talked a couple of rehashes there of the contributions he's made on the field and the contributions he's made to Rockies' legacy. For me, I think the best deal for the Rockies to make with Charlie Blackmon, I think this is the big difference with this at this stage in Charlie's career. The best move for the Rockies to make is a 1-year deal. while Charlie Blackmon is going to go out there and look for the, and I can't blame him for looking for that multi-year deal. I'll explain why I think the 1-year deal is the better move coming up in segment number 2. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about our friends at Gametime. Gametime got me to the All-Star game this year, and Gametime can get you into your big event. They got the easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. They got great deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. My favorite part about Gametime when you're buying tickets there is you get to have the image of your seat so you know where you're sitting and you know what to expect when you show up to the venue and when you get ready to check out the big event that you've decided to go see. They got the lowest price guarantee, which is the Gametime guarantee, which means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot. That's what we do around here. Talk Rockies baseball. We break it down for you, bring up our hypotheticals, and talk about the future of the Rockies. That's especially our big theme right now. You can find us on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app, as well as the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Thank you so much, again, for tuning in. Shout-outs to all my everydayers out there. All right, so we're in on a Blackmon-Rockies reunion. I think it's a good move. I think that Blackmon has shown that he can still contribute. He can embrace that DH role. He is embracing the DH role. He can cement his Rockies legacy. He can be a great resource for the young guys. But here's the deal. Multi-year commitment to Charlie Blackmon just isn't in the best interest of the Colorado Rockies. Just when you're looking at what they have, the two main prospects, again, of Veen and Tolia, and where they're going to play and what you're going to do with them, you're complicating that because Charlie Blackmon isn't always going to DH because you're going to have to get Montero into the game. So that means Chris Bryant's going to have to DH and vice versa. There are other things that complicate this. So for 2024, as this team continues to build and figure out its identity and try to, maybe start turning some heads and turn a new leaf and close this really tough chapter of the last 3 seasons of ball, they have to make sure they're not overcommitting to the past. And Charlie Blackmon is the past, will be the past. He still has a role. But the future and the contributions and the playing time have to go to these other guys that are trying to set themselves up to be the next Charlie Blackmons, to be the ones to be able to start making their impact on the league. And so I just don't think the best thing for the Rockies is a 2-year deal. I really like the 1 year, $8 million. I really like that it's committing to this year. Charlie can figure it out. But on the flip side, if it's the multi-year deal that's what he wants, and another team offers that's going to be hard for Charlie to walk away from. I think at this stage right now, Charlie Blackmon is looking to play baseball as long as possible. He wants the best opportunity for him to be able to be on the field as long as possible. And the Rockies are going to afford him an opportunity, and the Rockies are going to make room for him, and the Rockies will embrace Charlie Blackmon, and so are the fans. I mean, there's no risk for Charlie Blackmon's reputation for the Rockies if he stays in place here and maybe doesn't perform as well, because so many Rockies fans will embrace who Charlie Blackmon is, what he does for the team, and what he has done for the team, versus if he goes and moves to a competitor and moves on to a competitor where he needs to make an immediate impact and make those adjustments at a much different stage in his career. So there's going to have to be a happy medium, and a 2-year deal won't be the most ridiculous thing for the Rockies, but it's just a way of you're putting extra limits on yourself. You're putting your limits on what you're going to do with one of your most exciting prospects in Zach Veen, and you're putting limits on what you can do with some of these other younger guys and figuring out and the usage of your DH. Charlie Blackmon's been an effective DH. He can contribute and he can do so, but it'd be interesting to see what some of these other pieces can do as well. So all in all, if the Rockies are going to bring back Charlie Blackmon, and if I had to be a betting man now, if I had to put money on it, I've definitely changed my tone about it, because I thought at the beginning of the year he was done. I thought with the injury and everything, and with the way the Rockies were playing and all sorts of different reasons, I thought Charlie Blackmon's time in Colorado was coming to a close. But for him to perform the way he's performing now, mind you, against good teams, like that's the other thing that's important to remember here when we're looking at performance of Rockies players. These are good teams in the thick of playoff races that they are playing at this stage and for a while now at this stage of the season. And to contribute the way he has since returning from the IL shows you that he can still do it. Shows you that he's not overpowered. He's not overmatched. He's not outclassed by the current stage of pitching. He's a different Charlie Blackmon. He's a different version of himself, but he's still one that can contribute. He's still one that can help your team win. But how long? Charlie Blackmon, you just, when you look at some of the factors, when you look at the things, 37, 3-year deal would put him at 40, 2-year would put him at 39. You're just getting to that later in the stage career. But you're getting someone that is showing that he will lead on and off the field. And he's a very solid leadoff hitter still. He's someone that can handle the leadoff position. He's someone that can be moved through the lineup. It's just, he is going to be part of the moment where, I mean, it's going to be very tough to move on from Charlie Blackmon, because outside of the pitchers, really, he's the big closing chapter on those exciting playoff teams. Charlie Blackmon was the other star from those teams. I mean, the pitching staff, you can maybe put Marquez in Freeland's moments there as well, but Charlie Blackmon was an all-star, multi-time all-star, and has been one of the best leadoff bats in baseball for a while. So I would love a Charlie Blackmon extension. I think it's a good move for the Rockies, but I think they have to make sure they exercise caution and they don't overcommit and back themselves up into a corner where they can't play the guys that they need to play. But is Charlie going to be more open-minded to taking a reduced role at some point? Maybe. But it's abundantly clear that he wants to be on the diamond as much as possible and contribute as much as possible as well. So just kind of where I've been at, and I wanted to read a little bit more here about Charlie Blackmon and his contributions to the team this year. And this is from Is a Charlie Blackmon Extension Worth It by Skyler Timmins here on Purple Row. Entering Tuesday, Blackmon has played in 85 games, batting .285, .373, .445 with 32 extra base hits, including 7 home runs and 38 RBI. His 112 OPS plus is the highest it's been since 2019, as his 356 WOBA and 109 WRC plus. Blackmon has shown his evolution as a hitter this season. He is no longer the power hitter he once was, but he's been able to display his greatest strength of getting on base. Blackmon's 53 runs scored currently ranks 4th on the team, just 1 behind Nolan Jones. How has he managed to score that many runs in 85 games? By making contact and getting on base. Blackmon has 91 hits on the season, and mind you, this was from Tuesday, with 20 doubles and 5 triples to go along with the 7 home runs. He has improved his line drive rate to 24.6%, the highest it has been since the shortened 2020 season, or if you want to go back further to a full season, since 2016, when he hit a 27.8% rate, and that's line drive percent rate. The increase in line drives has resulted in a decrease in ground balls, 36.2%, and has increased his fly ball rate to a career high 39.1%. Unfortunately, that last mark hasn't resulted in more home runs, but rather more infield pop-ups, but it's also worth noting he is pulling the ball more. Additionally, his hard hit rates and average exit velocity are within the realm of his career average, showing that he is at least consistent, and the only real detrimental decline has been home run power. Strikeouts and lack of walks have been a problem for some time with the Rockies, but not for Chuck Nasty. With the career 16.7 K percentage, Blackmon brings a Helton-esque presence of plate discipline to the table. This season alone, Blackmon has 47 strikeouts and 36 walks, resulting in a career-low 12.7 K percentage and a career-high 9.7 walk percentage. The man has impeccable plate discipline. It is key. It is crucial. All that stuff matters so much. That's why you're encouraged by Charlie Blackmon. Those numbers, the advanced metrics, that type of stuff. You just have to wash it down with the aging and the defense and the impact on the roster and what that would do for the Rockies. And I want to finish off just reading a little bit more here from Skyler, and this piece on Purple Row is a Charlie Blackmon extension worth it. Knowing the Rockies, it doesn't sound far-fetched that Blackmon could sign a one-year extension worth somewhere between $7 and $9 million. Yes, it's a pay cut for Blackmon, but still rewards his years of service. Besides, there is a Rockies precedent when the team re-signed Carlos Gonzalez in 2018 for $8 million. Corey Sullivan of AT&T Sportsnet claimed that Blackmon wants a 2 or 3 year deal or 3-year contract, but that's too much to guarantee at his age. The best Skyler would do is a 1 year with some sort of mutual or vesting option for 2025, along with some performance incentives included somewhere. I think that's a great call. I think that's a great move. I think you can make an enticing 1-year deal with some options and things like that can spruce things up and make it enticing for Charlie Blackmon. But you can go read both of those pieces again, the ones that we read from today, justbaseball.com. What's next for Charlie Blackmon and the Colorado Rockies? That's from Renee Dechert. And then over here, Skyler Timmins on the one and only Purple Row is a Charlie Blackmon extension worth it. You can go check those pieces out and read more to get into the details of a Charlie Blackmon extension. But let's look ahead to the Cubs. Let's look what's next. But I guess let's put a bow on it. A 1-year deal with some incentives for Charlie Blackmon? Sign me up. I'll take that. And I think it would be a good move and help the Rockies next year as well, because there are things to enjoy and consider when looking at it, and some of those advanced metrics do bring you a little bit more encouragement to make that deal. All right, folks, let's move on to a little game preview and look ahead there. But before we do that, got to tell you about FanDuel. FanDuel's got you covered for the NFL season, and it's America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you have been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Find us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, and find us on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. Rockies taking on the Cubs in a key series for the Cubs in this one. This is a make or break time for the Cubs. They are skidding, sliding, not doing well. And these are two teams. Someone's got to get a win here. Both 4 and 5, or 1 and 4 in their last 5 games, and it gets even worse than that as you go further back there for the Cubs. The Cubs have the advantage here statistically, but not in the season series. The Cubs as a team are batting .255. They have hit almost 40 more home runs than the Rockies. Their OBP as a team is .329 when you compare it to the Rockies, .310. The slugging's .421. The pitching stats look better as well as a team. An ERA of .409 for the Cubs, a WHIP of .127. And almost looks like 240 more strikeouts. Not quite, but a little under 240 more strikeouts than the Rockies. Opponents are batting .244. And an interesting wrinkle for this series is a lot of day games. It's a lot of here as they're going through this weekend playing in Chicago. So maybe that'll add an extra element. Maybe the ball will travel a little bit differently. It's going to be fall time there in Chicago. I know there's East Coast weather concerns, but I don't necessarily know if there's weather concerns here for the Rockies taking on the Cubs. Big news for tomorrow's game, Noah Davis returning to the starting lineup and making a start here. I mean, it hasn't necessarily been the prettiest over 20 innings, but hasn't had a lot of opportunity, of course, after dealing with injury for him after starting off the year in the rotation as well. So look to see Noah Davis, and the Rockies are going to have to bring some of that road offense. They are going to have to wake up the bats like they did in game 1, and a team that was they brought all the offense for the first game, but 2 runs in the last 2 games for the Rockies, including nearly being no hit by San Diego there in the second game. So the Rockies, if they are really wanting to sink Chicago in the postseason race, they have to come to hit. They have to be an offensive threat. They have to be a team that is going to be dominant. And it looks like Cubs pitching has been a little bit susceptible to giving up some runs and allowing some damage here. The team, it looks like only 1 in their last 5 games have they allowed under at least 5 runs allowed by their team. One of them did go into the extras there against Arizona, so maybe a little inflated there. But Rockies, a key moment here, because if you lose this series, you're getting loss number 100 against the Dodgers. That's looming as well. Here's the Rockies are 4 losses away. And they won't have the benefit of Coors Field. They won't have the friendly confines of Coors to back them up here as they did in the first game of the series. But really solid series for the Rockies there. They kicked off that good stretch before they played the Giants. So hopefully the Rockies can recapture that and continue to really mess up the Cubs' chances at the postgame. But I am seeing a lightning bolt here in the weather, so that could be a factor this weekend as well, watching the weather. So I got, let's see, it's a 3-game set here for the Rockies and the Cubs. I got the Rockies winning 1. I think the Cubs are going to win this series. I think this is the get-right series they're looking for. They're at the friendly confines. It's going to be tough for the Rockies to just waltz in there. It's an offense that's got to show its consistency. It's got to show its backbone a little bit more. But we'll see if Chris Bryant can come up big there in his return to Wrigley with the Rockies. So, all right, folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for joining us and making us your first listen of the day. We appreciate it. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts. And now, for your second listen of the day, why not stay up to date in a very bustling time for Colorado sports with the Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs podcast, all available to you on the Locked On Podcast Network. Until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.